Cool. So I haven't done too well with the whole variety. So I really haven't done too well with the whole blog everyday in April thingy, majiggy or Bobby. But having said that, that still doesn't stop me from putting out content today and still doing something about what I haven't been able to do or haven't done, which is fine. So today, the thing I'm looking at or talking about is what I look for in content I consume online. I think because it's so easy for us to get, it is very, very, very easy for us to, well, let me put it this way, we've got easy access to so much content right in our hands, in our pockets, or, every single day. And we consume a lot of content. It's even interesting, or should I say, I find it interesting that as a cultural phenomenon that we're even talking about consuming content online, or things that we consume online. And I think we're at an exciting time in history. I don't know, I'm sure every generation has said this before, but I think we are probably the most technologically advanced generation, and resources we have are unprecedented, especially in the area of connectivity. And when I think about the internet, when I think about multimedia, Facebook, you name it, we got access to so much stuff. And I think it's important, well, it is important that we are intentional about the content that we're consuming online. I think it's easy. I remember once I spent 2 hours online. I don't know if any of you guys would remember that, but there was the, Vine, it was these like 6-second clips. Vine only allowed you to post 6 seconds worth of video. That was interesting, in that, you could see people's creativity and what they could do in that 6 seconds. It was amazing. I remember the one day that Ingrid and I actually spent 2 hours just watching Vine videos. Now, if you keep in mind that each video was 6 seconds, now imagine how many videos or how much content we consumed in 2 hours just watching these 6-second videos. And so as I think about what's accessible to us, there's a lot of great content, and there's also a lot of rubbish as well. And that's just the reality of our time. And so today, I just thought it'd be great to talk about the content, what I look for in content that I consume online, and in no particular order of importance. Just thinking out loud, I think one of the things that I really look for, how helpful or how useful the content is. Often, I think about, to what extent does this help me, or to what extent does a particular thing add value? Because often what value does it bring to me? Because we've got access to great content, at the same time we've got access to rubbish content, and the rubbish content, and we know what it is. There are those little clips that you watch where it's just doesn't make sense for, not doesn't make sense, but doesn't add value. I'm trying to find a good spot. So I look for content that's helpful for me, and it needs to add some sort of value to my life, and it must challenge. So that's the one thing. Now, what adding value means is up for debate, but you would know for your context what that means. So for me, that means something that will challenge my thinking, that will inform me or give me something new that I never knew, something that will help me apply knowledge that I already have in a practical way, me to know how to do something. And I basically want to be challenged with the kind of content that I consume. So, for example, a list of I'm trying to think what's the most stupid content I've consumed. Oh, okay, this is fun, but that's also so during the weekend, I think I probably spent a few minutes watching rabbits or bunnies eating flowers. Yeah, it was a good laugh. In fact, Ingrid and I often share that just to make each other laugh. But I also try to keep mind of the thieves of time, and it's possible for us to spend a ridiculous amount of time just consuming content that adds nothing to us. It doesn't help us grow. It doesn't challenge our thinking, and it's like sugar. You can eat so much sugar, and at the end of the day, all you end up with is diabetes. So as you look at your content and the things that you're consuming online, I think one of the things you want to think about is it challenging you? Is it helping you grow? Every now and then you do need some pudding, some sugar. But if your diet is just the same unhelpful things, then it's probably not worth your while. With that, I thought I'd just share some of the podcasts. So podcasts that I really have enjoyed and am enjoying at the moment. One of my favorite of all time is Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, Revisionist History. That's one of my favorite. And then Ingrid and I just finished listening to a BBC World Service podcast called The Assassination, which was a very interesting one. It was about Benazir Bhutto, the former Pakistani Prime Minister who got murdered. The other podcast that I'm listening to, that we listen to often, usually in the car, because that's a good time it's a good space to take advantage of, of the transit time. There's also Rough podcast. I mean, they stopped publishing, but Rough Translation. I enjoyed some of their episodes. And then How I Built This, so that's an NPR podcast. And then because I'm interested in that and I'm just curious about it, I've also been listening to there's a podcast by Angus Nelson called Up in Your Business. All these podcasts I'm mentioning are on the Apple Podcasts, so you can find them there. And Ted is great, guys. There's always something helpful that you're going to find on the TED podcast. And then there's the BBC History Hour. I love that. I love the BBC History Hour. So I love some of that. I love going back into history because then I feel like I'm learning something, and kind of helps us make sense of the world as well. The other podcasts I'm listening to is Revolutions. So basically about, it is, snap. Let me see if I can find what they say it's about. Oh man, info. Anyway, there's a podcast called Revolutions by Mike Duncan. He basically gives a bit of insight, into the revolutions that shaped England or the UK. I love that kind of stuff. And then there's Fresh Air. It's an NPR podcast. And there's The Emperors of Rome by Dr. Rhiannon Evans, which is quite cool. Rhiannon Evans is or was, I don't know if she still is, a lecturer at La Trobe University. And we just started one last week called Death in Ice Valley. These guys are sort of going back and investigating the mystery death of a mystery woman in Norway. It's actually a true story, but better than fiction. And then Church Mag podcast. I contribute to Church Mag podcast, which is a church tech blog, which is quite cool. So I listen to that as well. And Freakonomics Radio, and the Tim Ferriss Show. That's another one I listen to. And Tribe of Mentors and Truth Table. Yeah, that's just a few of the podcasts I'm subscribed to. That's probably too much content. I mean, quite a lot for you. But I'll be curious to find out from you what podcasts you're listening to. Maybe in another post, I'll talk about the blogs I'm reading or I read. And and what do you look for in content that you're consuming online? I'm curious. So yeah, drop a comment and toss a link if you have any links. Hope you have a good day or night, whatever your time zone. Ciao. And